Hello there, fellow YouTubers and ship geeks alike. This is your old friend Commodore Urban, and if you're joining in, thank you for joining in. And I'm going to give you another book review today. And today I have recently got this done. I started reading it, and then I lost interest, and I went and got it checked back out from the library, and I started reading it, and I actually finished it. And honestly, it's actually a really good book, and I want to talk to you a little bit about it. It is called Titanic. Women and Children First by Judith B. Jeller, with a foreword by John P. Eaton, and its poignant account of those caught up in the world's worst maritime disaster. Now, this book is a lot different than a lot of the other Titanic books that are out, because this book talks about the women and children of all three classes that have survived, talking about them. And what I mean is that it basically kind of outlines their life from before, during, and after the Titanic disaster. And there are some pretty notable names in here, especially if you're reading about first class, like Lucy Lady Duff Gordon, Madeline Force Astor, which she was the basically they called her the child bride to John Jacob Astor IV. Helen Churchill Candy, Edith Corth Evans, like I said, Margaret Molly Tobin Brown, which is Unthinkable Molly Brown. I mean, there's a lot of it. I mean, it explains a lot of different, not just the famous, but also, not just the famous first class passengers, but, second class and third class. And to me, it's actually, it's a different book. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it at first, but then as I started reading and stuff, it's just like, wow, this is actually really interesting stuff. And just the fact to see how everyone, lived before, during, and then after this catastrophe that had fell upon them in the middle of the North Atlantic. And I think one of the saddest things that I read in this whole book is probably under the section "Save Our Souls" about the third class passengers. Let me find it here real quick. I'll read it off to you. Right here. Here it is. The Bremen wired the coordinates of this tragic tableau to the McKay Bennett, and on the first day of their funeral sweep of the area, they picked up a baby, later presumed to be Gustav Paulsen, which, if you know the entire Paulsen family, and you see there, and there's the baby right there, they were all killed by the catastrophe. But if it was Gustav, what happened to Alma, whose body was not found until days later? Clinical reports describe the baby's remains as number 4 male, estimated age 2, hair fair, clothing, gray coat with fur on collar and cuffs, brown serge flock, petticoat, flannel garment, pink woolen singlet, brown shoes, and stockings. No marks whatever, probably third class. The seaman of the McKay Bennett Satin is sickened by the sight of the tiny fair-haired nameless baby, sponsored a memorial service for him at St. George's Church in Halifax on 4th of May 1912. The hearts of Nova Scotians in the world poured out, smothering his miniature white casket under a blanket of flowers. Even the hardened boys from the morgue sent blossoms. 6 McKay Bennett seamen carried the casket to the horse-drawn hearse, which solemnly conveyed it to Fairview Cemetery for interment. The entire crew erected a stone on which they had engraved, erected to the memory of the unknown child whose remains were recovered after the disaster to the Titanic, 15th of April 1912. The baby's identification as Gustav Paulsen was poignant, considering that his grave was quite by chance had been placed only a few feet from that of Alma. I read that, I was just like, oh my gosh. Oh my god. I mean, I about cried when I read that. I was just like, oh my gosh. And I've been studying the Titanic for years, but, and I've read about the death tolls and stuff, which was sad, but just, this book here really drove it home. And Judith Jeller, the author, really did an amazing job, and I have to give her a 2 thumbs up on this. And my scale of 1 to 10 on books, as I do, I give this a point of 10, because I don't think there's any other book that I know of that have been quite laid out such as this one here. And it's even been told back here too by George Tulloch, of the now late president of RMS Titanic Incorporated. This is what he said in the book. Riveting. Judy Jeller's approach to the history of Titanic as seen through the eyes of the women and children is unique and refreshing. Never before has anyone taken the researcher's effort and the writer's skill to reflect on the tragedy as viewed from this perspective. Congratulations. I mean, it's just, man, I think what he said was, it hit the nail right on the head. I mean, it hit the nail right on the head. And if you really want to read a book that can drive home the story of the Titanic disaster seen through the eyes of the survivors, you know, especially the women and children survivors, then read Titanic Women and Children first. This book will do it for you. And so, I hope you enjoyed my review of this book. And if you did, please hit the like button. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, please subscribe. And if you got any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I would love to hear from you. Not many people have been leaving comments lately in my videos, which that's what I love. I want to hear you guys' feedback. So please leave some feedback for me, and I'll try to get to you. And until next time, this is your old friend Commodore Urban saying, have smooth skies and smooth seas and clear skies, and happy sailing with you.